Welcome back to another shopping list video. How can we get prepared to pick up Dragma? What do we need to prepare ourselves for the early game for this deck? And I'm here to answer some of those particular questions. So I hope that you have your wallet ready, and I hope that you've got your ramen ready to go. Shout out to Charlotte for being as awesome as it actually is. Let's dig on into the shopping list, shall we? Now, there are many forms of Dragma that you can play. Many. The earlier stages we saw Maximus for the control dump, in addition to many aspects presented for, the format adapting to cutting out Maximus, basically turning Dragma into a splashable engine. So we're going to cover all aspects of this, talk about everything, and the first thing we're going to cover here is the Shit All structure deck. I always baseline mention that you should have a singular structure deck ready for the Winda, the Construct, and the Apocolon. Alright? Now, the reason why this is so important is because if you're playing Maximus, you have the ability to drop out the Apocolon, which can search for the Shadal Rook, which will be present in Rise of the Duelist, which will allow you to make the defensive play on the opponent's turn through the Shadal window, which actually ends up being very important to your deck strategy. Obviously, being able to get that baseline defense window up, depending on whichever engine you're also playing with your deck, is absolutely insane. Like, it's really good. So, for baseline, you are going to have to, I would say, a singular structure deck or access to the Shadal fusions will be very, very easy and affordable for you to do. Alright, should be no problem with that. Now, you are going to need an Elder Entity Ints. Now, many of you might not know this, but Ints basically allows you to have access to more pops. And I definitely would focus on 2 Ints, unless you are trying to play X-Strap with your Dragma deck, and then I don't know what you are doing with life. But basically, you're going to be focusing on the Rhoda, which lets you drop from the extra deck, which will basically grant you a destruction off of Ints. And then you will also get the ability to drop it off of Punishment for an additional pop, which is literally just Value Town. And then in addition to that same thing, you're also going to need a Psyframe Lord Omega. Omega will let you kind of loop back these cards, which near the end of your drops and things will end up being very important to you in the long run. Omega's recyclability with the deck is definitely going to be very important to you, especially as you are looping through these pop hands and these aggressive pushes on the opponent. So yes, you are going to need an Ints, multiple Intses, whether or not you're playing to get 2 or 3. I would definitely make sure that you baseline you have 2, and you are going to need a Psyframe Lord Omega for recyclability for that. So, what's the next question here? Because Dragma's not out yet, alright? So these are like the little stuff that you can pick up at this point. Now we have to pick what theme we're going to play with our Dragma deck, alright? The first one I want to talk about here is the Invoked engine. Invoked gives you access to Makaba and Purgatrio to slam on over the opponent's field. And yeah, that's really about it. Alistair gives you a consistency boost for the deck with Almirage Secure Gardener. Basically, stepping through the Almirage into Secure Gardener gives you food for Maximus. And this is all under the assumption if you are choosing to play Maximus. A lot of builds, like I said, are not playing Maximus, but it is very understandable that you can do this deck without Maximus. Alright, so basically the Invoked engine gives you consistency, and you're really looking for that consistent factor with the deck. So yes, I would predominantly focus on Invoked. At least I found Invoked to be probably the most successful version from my own playtesting. I really just like Invoked. Alright, next up we have Necros. Now Necros was the version of the deck that we saw probably the most out of the OCG. The actual Brionic and Unicorn are very good cards. Also, you get access to like Cheese Trishula. But you're setting up Unicorn on the field, and then you're kind of using your Dragma cards as like baseline defense to basically protect the Unicorn. Also, Colossus interruptions and things like that both kind of give new life to control. And, you can drop Herald out of your extra deck with Maximus, and then you can do some really cool things with Herald of the Arclight searching. Basically, your whole search engine is in your extra deck, so it doesn't matter if you lock your extra deck, because we have access to it at all stages in the game, effectively. So, no problem whatsoever with playing Necros with this. Now, there is also Mech Dragma. Now, you have to remember, basically, at some points playing Mech Knight, you want to go into Morningstar. Not always, alright? And I can't say that enough. Basically, you want to navigate with the extra monster zone. But there was a few splashable engines in the OCG playing the one Ecclesia, the one copy of the Fleur-de-Lis, and then the 2 copies of Punishment. One of the particular decks that we saw doing this every so often was actually Mech Knight. It's basically a 4-card splashable engine, and that's kind of the thing, like, baseline with Dragma, is it is very good at being a splashable engine for the most part. So yes, I would put some sort of focus on possibly having Mech Knight. I've always said that, like, that's another underlying message in this video, like, Mech Knight is always there, so always kind of demonize that. And then there is Eldritch Dragma. Now, I'm not going to say run out and buy Eldritch, because I also think that this deck has a timer on its back. Don't get me wrong, but seeing very, 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 very good consistent engines being splashed with each other is what this game is about. And Eldritch Dragma is a very scary deck out of the OCG. You thought dealing with Conquistador and, Fred were big issues. Well, what happens when there's a Dragma punishment after you out the Conquistador and go through this, and then they're further answering your field, and then they're recurring back even more cards? Now, what if we've got an Invoked package in there, too? What if we're playing Invoked Eldritch Dragma? What do you do? All right? I ask you, all right? So, yes, be aware that this homunculus horror deck is possible, all right? Now, those are the engines that you can currently pick up. Kind of like a little well-rounded thought capsule here for this is that, Dragma is a splashable engine. You have to understand that. And with splashativity does, effectively come, I guess not really like diversity, but like too splashable is an issue. It's almost invoke status here. Alright, so how do we counter this? What cool, crazy shenanigans can you play to counter the Dragma strategy? Now, the biggest one here with it all revolves around Maximus. Alright, so in the mirror match, Maximus is bad. Alright, when both players are dropping from the extra deck, it's bad. So, how do we take advantage of our opponent's card? Because Maximus says both players send 2 from the extra deck to the graveyard. The first one here is actually Cyber Dragon Nova. So Nova, the way it was being ruled here is when you drop the Nova out, you get to spouse summon a Mechaba. Oh, we got a baseline defense, we did it! Or you can also drop out an Elder Entity Ints to get a pop on the opponent's field. We're literally turning our opponent's Maximus against them, alright? It's actually really cool, and it's super easy to do. If you're also super worried about anything else with this, you can also play the camaro flashia, giving you the ability to tutor for the super poly. If you are really, really scared, like I said, dropping out the camaro flashia, dropping out the Nova, this is basically what we've been seeing. And the OCG's pretty much kind of stepped away from this. Or you could also drop your own Apple clone in the mirror. But remember, Maximus is kind of a no-go there. So the baseline to stop this all revolves around Maximus, whether or not it sees play. If not, it's just going to be a base splashable engine at this point. So yeah, that kind of concludes our shopping list. Outside of that, you're just going to have to locate some pre-orders, and then you just kind of got to hunker down for Rise to come through. Oh, yeah, the most important thing. You're going to have some money set aside. Oh, ooh. ooh, we just spent all of our money picking up these cores to play with our Dragma, and now you're telling me I had to have money set aside? What a shocker. Guys, please, what do you guys think about the shopping list series? That's really all I got for this video. Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And well, guys, I'm out. Take care. Peace. Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out VanCole40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by MCole40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mcolegames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.